Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I am your host, Brandon.
And Justin.
Right. So, Justin, how did you feel about John McClane sneaking through the tower?
Hi, well, yeah, a lot of stealth sections in this week's reading, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Reminding me of like Metal Gear and stuff. You would see the yellow exclamation points above people's heads.
Yeah, it just reminded me a lot of Die Hard, and it's especially like when
he's
he
in
was
the
carrying
vents.
his shoes around too.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
put glass on the ground yet, so.
Shoot the glass.
But I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's very much set up, like basically all set up, but it was fun.
It's fun. It's fun setup. Um, it didn't drag like most of the setup in Way of Kings did.
Yeah.
So, all right. So before we jump in, we're gonna jump in quickly. We are sponsored by Mudcat Whiskers, so you can visit their website www.mudcatwhiskers.com. Use code Paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15% on your beard care products and your candles so that you can have a nice looking beard like mine. I just got it trimmed yesterday too. I got a haircut.
Yeah, it looks good.
Got all that you got it washed and conditioned and got some beard balm in it. So, it doesn't make me look like a homeless man. And right now I have unscented in. But they have a whole array of scents, so you can try them all. He does have sample pack, 4 different oils in a pack, and yeah, so you can buy a couple of those and find which one you like the most. And then same with candles. He has a few candles. The scents that the candles also come in the beard care products. So head on over to his site and support a small Louisiana business. And support your beard too,
Yes.
or your loved ones' beards, or your enemies' beards. So,
Hey, make them think of you and they smell their beards.
yeah. You're like, God, this smells like Moash. So, all right, let's jump in with chapter 44, Tender
Yeah.
Waiting for a Spark.
Yeah, so chapter 44, Kaladin chapter. This is the start of the stealth mission. He's running around, trying not to get caught after he just murked 2 guards. He's running around, Syl is like helping him out, like Paul's here. She's basically a cheat code, which is pretty nice. The pursuer is after him, so he's gonna be really screwed if pursuer finds him. And he's like does a couple of like tricks to like make him not be able to find him and stuff like that. Then he he ends up finding a room because the sibling basically is like, hey, hide in here. He like touches the panel, it opens up, and he goes inside. That's basically it.
Yeah, he hadn't talked to the sibling yet in this one, right? It was just he
No, it
saw
like
the violet light in the garnet veins.
yeah, just like this section is a video game. He saw a glowing icon and was like, I'm gonna touch it. Oh, door open. Which was fun.
Yeah. I'm starting to like the sibling. I want to know more about the sibling.
Yeah.
and we are getting to know more about the siblings. So
The
uh,
sibling is interesting because they keep saying how impossible Aether is to make. So I'm guessing honor and cultivation made Aerithero the sibling. So like it just kind of, I'm guessing like the tower just grew off out of the ground into this crazy thing, which is cool.
yeah, it's been mentioned several times that like the sibling is Uruthuru and like
Yeah,
Uruthuru is alive. Um, but it was interesting that the Midnight Mother, and we found out in this section of reading that the Midnight Mother had corrupted um, the sibling, and basically, I guess it's almost like it's a cage for a Spren to live in. And so, like the Midnight Mother went into it, um, kind of like Timber has caged the Void Spren inside of Vinley. So similar situation is what I'm picturing right now, and just
with the
her
Midnight Mom,
do what?
with the Midnight Mother.
Yeah, because like the sibling mentions that she when the Midnight Mother came, she hid from her for so long that the Midnight Mother like told Odium like, yeah, the sibling's dead. And so
Yeah,
that's why they think that the sibling is dead, because of the Midnight Mother and how long she existed in the tower before she was run off by Shallan.
yeah, like 4,000 years or a little less than that, but I forget what the reference is. But
Yeah, it wasn't 4,000. I forget the timeline on that too. I don't think it's talked about as
uh,
much.
oh god,
Ahariettum,
Ariatim, yeah, yeah, that was 4,500 years ago. And then,
that
um,
wait, yeah, it was 4,500. That was when
yeah, I
the
think it records is
heralds
like
put their swords
2,000
up.
years or something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, fun little section. Starting off the Cowden dual classing as a rogue. Um, so he needs to level up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I can move on to chapter 45. A bold heart, a keen and crafty mind. This is sort of our flashback chapters with dual POVs of Eshonai and Vinley. So I assume Eshonai is going to come back in some fashion because it's would otherwise be really weird to have flashbacks. It hasn't been established that we can have. I, it makes narrative weirdness to have flashbacks to people that don't exist anymore in the narrative.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm guessing Eshonai is maybe gonna come back as a fuse, which would be cool or something like that.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Just like just like what Elakar is going to come back.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, because we saw her body; she's definitely dead, or at least her physical body is definitely dead. Um, so, and I don't think she's like Timber, but that is a possibility. Be retconned to Eshonai, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
Which
I
I
don't
think I think Vinley would know.
yeah, I doubt that she Eshonai is Timber.
Yeah. So we gotta figure that out, but it'd be kind of cool to have Eshonai back. Or it's just a weird thing where the reader learns information that nobody else knows in the world, which would be interesting, I guess. Anyway, this is Eshonai starts off. She's exploring the wilderness. We kind of know the events of this, but we get more from previous books, but we get more clarity on it. She's a explorer. She wants to map everything, stuff like that. Um, we get some more stuff kind of throughout this about like the different families and stuff of the singers, because we saw them when they were basically all decimated. So, but anyway, she finds humans. She finds Dalinar. Then we go to Vinley and her mom, who, as far as we know, her mom is not dead, because she left with the fleeing listeners that may or may not be alive. I'm assuming they're going to come back. Um, but yeah, she's learning the song from book 2 about all the different forms. Her mom's teaching her. Um, they only have 3 forms right now. They have worker,
Mate.
dull, and mate.
Yeah.
And she's trying to work on war form, but she hasn't found it yet. Yeah. We get some more stuff of like where her mom is starting to develop the dementia we see in the current timeline. We get tales of that throughout basically all the flashbacks. Um, and yeah, she thinks that we didn't know this, but it seems pretty much that Warform is combination of pain spren, which is pretty cool. Um, and they still have which is interesting is they still have the 5, even though they only have 3 forms. So it was like an older form of government that they like adopted the one we saw in book 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's like she's very jealous of Eshonai because Eshonai's like, hey, I found humans. She's like, oh no, all my accomplishments are taken over by Eshonai. It's kind of
Yeah. So one thing I didn't pick up on, I mean, I didn't make a note of it, was the pain spren connection to Warform. Um, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense that those two concepts kind of align with each other. Few other things. So like her mother being the keeper of songs, um, that just seems I'm seeing more and more like similarities in um all the Cosmere books. I mean, all the gods used to be part of one thing anyway. Um, so it would kind of make sense that a lot of the magic systems, even though they are vastly different on the surface, um, behind the scenes could have similarities and things still um, pop up. Almost kind of like the fact that um, like gender roles through societies across Earth. A lot of times they have popped up in the same way, even with the isolated tribes that weren't like had no connection to modern society until recently. Like you could kind of see those things. So it's kind of like there was something ingrained with us that brought these like concepts to mind, even if they might be archaic. But the Keeper of Songs kind of reminds me of the Terracemen and them being keepers of information. Um, I don't know if she wears jewelry, but that would be interesting. Um,
yeah,
if
it'd be interesting.
there
I
was a,
don't think that
I don't think so either, but it just thematically is very similar.
yeah, and we find out later that they don't have like a written language, so it's all oral tradition, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I like how they described that whenever the humans gave them paper, um, they were like, "Yeah, we have to put our songs, our talking gets captured onto to paper to keep for all time." I'm like, "Oh, uh,
that's what's happening with right now, Brandon Sanderson. You
yeah,
found it.
yeah." Uh, so at the end of the chapter, they had so her mother was already hinted. Um, had already hinted to the five that Vinley was doing the experiments, and they seemed kind of receptive to that, and so she was bringing Vinley to the five, and she was about to announce it when the war drums sounded, and Eshonai returns with the news. So Vinley, like we're seeing Vinley's jealousy develop, which we know the culmination of. She was wanting to be the first into storm form, and then Eshonai took that from her as well. But in modern day, we see Vinley, kind of regretting her jealousy and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I've got some more stuff.
Yeah.
I like the names of the families, and I never thought of the listeners having different families, like the Pure Song family, the Fourth Movement family, and the fact that they all lived in different places. And in the next one, we'll see, actually two from now, we'll see interaction between those. But they mentioned that they would. I think it was Vinley was like, man, it was either Vinley or Eshonai that was like, it'd be nice to live in one of those ancient cities that's there. So they're living outside of those cities.
Yeah, which we know are the Alethi war camps in present day.
Right. But there's also Narak that's in the center, which was also an ancient
True.
city, I
Yeah.
believe. And then the last thing, or two last things. It was unexpected that Eshonai was going to, uh, as she walked through the forest, make notes of cultivation, like the beauties that cultivation offered. Um, because from the start of the first book, since we had most all Alethi perspective in the first book, it was okay. The Parshendi are odium, right? They're not they're not us. They worship odium and the void bringers. Um, but to see them also acknowledge cultivation was interesting. Changing our thoughts of who they are, broadening our minds about who they are and how complex they are.
Yeah. It's also interesting to note that they thought all humans were dead,
Yeah, that too.
which
They're
I
like,
think
oh
that's
my God, they're
later, but
alive
yeah.
after all these years. And then one other note, which will be interesting if it comes up again, it was mentioned that Vinley's father had left them and was seeking the Eastern Sea. So towards the origin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So um, be interesting if he comes back up and if he brings anybody with him
The
or
Swan Chan.
what he went to go find. So maybe he went and found honor. That would be
Maybe.
interesting if he came
Yeah.
back with if Vinley's father came back with honor.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna find the Swan Chan if that one random interlude was to be believed.
Was that the Tremalking Island?
I think so. The dude that had the lighthouse and was like gathering wood, he's like, "Oh yeah, the people from the origin are gonna come and kill us all, or whatever."
Oh, you're actually talking about
Oh
in
yeah,
this series.
yeah.
You weren't talking about the suicidal island,
No, which is very
which
weird.
and was very funny that Robert Jordan was like, why aren't more people upset about this event happening? It's like, well, okay.
Maybe if he would have introduced them at all. But yeah. No, just if you remember that one random interlude that was like, there's people that are gonna come from the origin.
The
Very
crazy
much,
guy collecting wood
yeah,
and stuff on
yeah,
the lighthouse island.
very much evokes the Swan Chan, but regardless, we can move on. But yeah, good stuff. Good learning about old listener stuff. Um, maybe she will take some of those for her new society, hopefully. Uh, Chapter 46, The Weight of the Tower. This is Navani and Kaladin. I'll also probably talk more about these next week, but we're getting excerpts from the Rhythm of War book, which seems to be written by Vinley.
Do you think Vinley and not Raboniel?
There's one thing that one section here, I'll find it, kind of mentions Rabonia. That's why I don't think it's Rabonia.
Okay.
Whenever that one pops up, I'll show you. It's like I worked with an ancient one in the tower, so it's something like that. So it could be Navani as well, but I doubt it's Navani.
I don't think Navani wrote Rhythm of War.
Yeah, but it's one. It's either Vinley or Navani. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so Navani is working with Laboriel over the you know doing the scribes, seeing how other people can do stuff. She's like secretly sabotaging him a bit by making him do like busy work and stuff. Um, but yeah, we learned some pretty big information that the soul casters are like Spren made physical. They're not like devices. They're like the Spren themselves. Um, how they were, and that also the Oath Gates are that too. Um, so that's really interesting. Um,
And the other Tower Favorials are as
yeah,
well, like the lifts and things like that.
yeah. Robrario kind of gets workings of like the fourth bridge and stuff like that. She's like, "Oh, y'all learn so much, even though you don't know these like things that we took for granted." The whole like different perspective thing. You can find different answers to problems. Um, so yeah, she's like basically trying to like help, but not be too helpful to Robrario and get all this information, but also not be no help to get like send away. So it's a little cat and mouse they're having, which is fun. Um, yeah, she's like, all right. Then we switch over to Kaladin. He is in a nightmare. It was very confusing until I remembered the Moash interlude. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I was like, oh yeah, Moash interlude. Um, I was very confused. But yeah, he's having a bad dream. He's getting Moashed. And he wakes up and he's like, all right, well, I need to like find supplies basically, or else Theft is gonna die. Um, and he finds like he's like freaking out because he like thinks they might just be trapped in the room and like die, but he finds a little switch and he's able to like leave. So he's like, all right, I need to find some supplies. That's basically what happened with Kaladin.
Yeah. Um, so with Navani, like working with Raboniel, and like one of the things she was explaining was the conjoined fabrials, and how they use aluminum to disrupt the connection. Within this chapter, we find out that Raukalist
Yeah, he's
is the
aluminum.
name, the Rosharan name for aluminum. So great way that just quickly was quickly resolved. The second mention of this word. Thank you, Brandon Sanderson, for not making us wonder what the hell.
Yeah, so it was disrupting the aluminum in the tower. Is that what you're saying? Forget the context for it coming up in the page.
Um,
Or like the shields
so
are
the
down.
the Raukalist was God. Let's see here. Hold on. So the ancient protections have not been maintained, the scout said. I can feel that the Raukalist has fallen from the walls of the tunnel below. How could they allow this oversight? So the tunnels below were covered in aluminum.
That would stop some. Okay.
So we know from last book, and I didn't think about this until now. We know last book, whenever Azure was soul casting food, they were doing it inside of a room that was covered in aluminum.
Yeah, so yeah.
And then span reads couldn't travel, the messages couldn't go through aluminum either. Um, so why would the tunnels be like, I don't know, you wouldn't be able to,
Maybe that's how it transfers the like the real protections. So it's like through aluminum. I don't know how that would work, but
yeah,
because it seems to work pretty good for the corruption version. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that one out.
yeah, I can't think of why humans would want the aluminum covering the walls.
Unless it's like keep out like void spren, um, like the invisible void spren or whatever.
Maybe. And maybe that's why the void sprint are able to be seen inside the tower. There's aluminum everywhere. If there
Well,
is aluminum everywhere.
yeah, which from the context of that scout, it seems like there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
But
it's not. Maybe it's something we don't know yet.
yeah, there's something we don't know about aluminum yet.
Yeah,
Or Raucalist.
yeah, or
But
aluminium.
aluminium. Um yeah. So that
It,
was
it
that came up.
yeah, it
Uh,
is really funny to imagine. It's just like here, put all this tin foil on the walls, and you can soul cast. All right.
there- but well, what it did was it kept the void sprint from seeing it.
Yeah, and the screamers or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, what order? I remember. I forgot to go look it up, but Reachers, the Reachers is the nickname of a type of spren, and then
Assume goal shapers. I
the
think that's
Will
the only.
Shaper.
I think that's the only one we don't have.
Yeah. So that would mean that Vinley is a Will Shaper
Yeah,
because Timber is a Reacher. He fits the description
yeah.
of it. And I think she even mentions, or like he or Timber's a he, huh? Or Timber's a
I
she.
think it's a she, or it might not be now.
So either Timber or Vinley mentions Reacher, I do believe.
Yeah, and like how they don't want to help humans, but they want to like bond uh listeners basically.
Yeah. And there's another person that Vinley. Oh no, no,
No,
that,
that's
that's
Renard. That's
Renard.
Renard.
That's Renard.
Yeah, when we get to that, I have no fucking clue what he's thinking about.
I put a couple people down. And then yeah, Kaladin waking up, that was kind of cool, but
It,
confusing at first and sad.
it was cool, yeah. It was just really fun. I was just like, what is happening? Because I totally forgot about them being like, we're gonna manipulate Kaladin's dreams. I totally forgot about that. I was like, what is going on? He's just having a crazy vision. I was like, oh yeah. He's getting magically fucked with by a god.
But yeah, it didn't seem to have any lasting effects after he woke up. Like he didn't, as far as I know, I can't remember in the rest of the section, he didn't like recall that vision he had. So
Yeah, he was just like tired or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
which might feed into his insanity.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be as crazy as Sherlock one day.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
we can move on.
Yeah, 47. A caged forged of spirits. This is a Dalinar Chapter.
Or as I typed here, a cafe forged of spirits.
Much better. Um, Dalinar is overseeing a battle. They're in Emul. He's with the Mink. They're on one of those flying platforms that we saw in book two that Navani made. There seem to be kind of like they've made a bunch of them now. So that's pretty cool. So he's like watching it. He has the Mink. They're fighting the Teravangians people that attacked them. This is that they're trying to reclaim Teravangian. They're getting like really messed up the Venans because they had planned for this. Um, and then there's like Skybreakers are supporting them. Um, not as many or no Headland ones, which is weird. It's like they're almost somewhere else. Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, yeah. They get news. That Robario is. Yeah. She's very
Bonial.
Raboniel. I don't know why. I think I'm combining Raboniel and Sabarial for some reason. Anyway, she's like smart and she's been sending like span read communique and like being like, oh no, they did something to the Terravania did something to the Oath Gates and it's knocked out our stuff. So don't everything's fine though. Don't come checking it out. We're good. Um, which is funny. Um, and down there in the main are like that damn Teravangian screwing with us. But also, Downer is like kind of like it's a little too tank. Like they really Teravangian did just this. That's a little like weak sauce. I think it's a little bit later. But then guess what? Nail comes. He's like, "What's up? I'm Nail."
There,
Eh,
I literally laughed audibly whenever like he pushes Seth aside
Yeah, you
and
bitch slap
gets a
Seth.
fucking like a shard bow arrow in his face.
He's like, and Downer's like, "Let him talk." He's like, because Cora's there as well. She's for some reason wants to be a guard of Dalinar's.
And these
Mm.
shard bow, the shard bow arrows are freaking huge. It's like I when I read this section to Jules because I thought it was funny and she thought it was funny as well. And I was like, just imagine one of the Navi arrows from Avatar getting shot right in your face. She's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's huge.
he heals better than Shallan or faster. He's just like, "Yep, I'm good." So he may or may not be immortal unless you hit him with Moash's knife. Um,
Well, he's a
but
hero,
yeah,
so I mean,
I
he's
mean
God.
they can still die.
Yeah, but he's God.
That's how they go back to Braze. Um, but yeah, I wonder if he would get tortured in Braze if he died, or he just immediately bopped back. But hey, what's up?
Oh, now that he's with the
Now that he's with Odium,
Odium, yeah.
you probably just like go to Braves and be like, "All right, Odium, I'm coming back," and just like, "Boop," should be funny. Um, yeah. So yeah, he slaps Seth away. He was still in disguise, so nobody knows about him. And then he's like gonna fight Dalinar, and Dalinar grabs him and sees a bunch of visions of his past. And
Did
he's
this
like,
remind you of the Pillars?
a little bit.
And it was most recent to oldest, right? The visions that Dalinar saw went from most
Um,
recent to old.
I don't know, maybe.
Because here's the vision. Here's what I wrote down as him saying. Um, so let's see. Start he let's see. He started from a Harietum and then went further and further back in time. So he saw the creation of the Skybreakers. him bonding a high spren, then him making an oath with Yez and Ishi. So apparently before they made the oath pact, Nail had fought Yez way before the desolations started, or during the desolations, and then he switched sides and then went switched back. Um, and like the vision with the creation of the Skybreakers order was fun. So Nail was standing with a group of scholars and unrolling a large writ filled with writing. The law cannot be moral, Nail said to them, but you can be moral as you create laws. Uh, Ever must you protect the weakest, those most likely to be taken advantage of, institute a right of movement so that a family who feels their lord is unrighteous can leave this area, then tie a lord's authority to the people who follow him. So you kind of set up I don't
Government.
the freedom to leave a country if you didn't agree with the ruler.
Yeah.
So
Freedom be a traitor. Wow.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. Nail's like, what the F? You like, and Stormfather's like, you created a bond with him, Bondsmith. And he's like, yeah, I guess I did. And he's like, maybe I can use this to like reforge the Oath Pact. That'd be cool. And maybe that will happen. Dalinar is a god now.
So with that, so when he saw the 8 lines coming off, so there's not 9 because Yaz is dead. But out of the 8 that are left, there was only it said that only one of the strands was still vibrant. So who do you think that's going to?
It's Helenet, right?
That's what I wrote as to Talonat. But later on we find out, I'm pretty sure Talonat and Ash are with the army and not in the tower.
Yeah.
But if it was going to Talonat, he would have realized it was going to Talonat if Talonat was with them. Wouldn't he?
Maybe.
Because I mean, we're okay. I don't think Talonat is in any capacity to be fighting on the battlefield. So he's got to be in a tent or near Dalinar or Yasna or somebody, right?
He says, Dalinar stepped forward, walking among his stunned bodyguards, noting 8 lines of light extending from Nail into the distance.
Yeah.
So they probably tell him. Only one of the no, only one line of it is completely broken. The rest are there, but weak, except one still vibrant. Hmm. Yeah, so it's probably telling him. I mean, if it's just like him and it's just like everywhere, it's like not any like direction or not. I mean, like distance. So you could like maybe triangulate it if you're thinking if Dalinar is thinking about that in this moment.
But it reminds me of God, what metal do you burn? What allomantic metal do you burn to see the blue
Steel or uh
iron?
iron, yeah.
If you burn one of those two, you see the blue lines connecting to metal.
Yeah, because you can see it's pusher. It's the pusher pull
Yeah,
one.
push or pull. Yeah, this also reminded me of that.
Yeah, I can see that. But I mean, it's definitely not Ash. Um, I don't think it would be like the God Emperor or whatever. And I don't remember the other 3 that haven't done anything or 5 that haven't done anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's Bata. The uh, wasn't she in Carbranth or in Yakaved that kind of gave the information
I think, yeah.
to Teravangian?
Yeah.
So maybe it's to her.
Man,
She seemed like a traitor too.
man, I don't know. We'll probably see.
And
Uh,
then at the end of the chapter, Stormfather is amazed at the powers that Dalinar has. Um,
yeah. All
he's
right.
like, it doesn't seem to be the same as the bondsmiths of the past.
Yeah. And we do find out at some point in this thing that the three spread were indeed him, the Night Watcher, and the sibling.
Yep.
So get that confirmed. Um, you want to move on to chapter 48?
Yep.
Sense of Death, Sense of Life. This is an Eshonite only chapter, 9 years ago. So, um, so basically, she's with the humans. They're trying to figure out their languages, barriers, and stuff. Um, and yeah, she finds out that humans have like they're able to like make metal and stuff because like the only weapons they have are ones they found. Um, yeah. Um, they go to the Shattered Plains. They see a great shell. And they're like, "Holy shit, that's really big. That'll be really fun to fight over for 4 years." Um, yeah. We also learn that they see Spren differently than the humans do, which is fun. Um, yeah.
Yeah, this
Uh,
lady, we find out her name later, Axon. Uh,
with like that,
yeah, Axon with or something. Yeah, Axon with.
who is
She wears a lot of rings.
she's from another planet, or she's from she's a herald. She's something. No, she's working with Odium though. You do know that.
Yeah.
Um,
But she
yeah,
asked specifically if she'd seen any wind, if Esh and I had seen any Windspren acting human.
yeah. So yeah, maybe she's from the Honor Spring looking for Sylph, but she's evil. Oh, I do like the misinterpretation of their gods. Like, do you worship them? And like, what? Do you respect them? Yeah, I respect them. They're giant crabs. And they're like, oh, they're their gods. She's like, oh, sure.
Yeah,
That,
that
that,
was
that
fun.
was that was funny. Um, yeah, they inspect their knives and like learn about the ruins and stuff. Um, yeah.
So the knife that she pulls out is a shard blade, right?
No,
No?
no. No, they have sharp blades. They just found really good weapons.
You sure?
And yeah,
Because she seemed particularly impressed with it and went and showed it to Gavilar.
yeah. It's because they have like ancient badass weapons.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not sharp because she says like, oh, they haven't even seen our shard blades. Our shard blades are much more impressive.
Okay. As we do know, I mean, in Way of Kings, she has a shard blade.
Yeah. She glanced down, realizing she brought out her good hunting knife. It was one of the weapons her ancestors had salvaged from the ruins at the center of. So it's from Narak, and that's why they're interested in it.
Yeah, like her great grandparent. It belonged to her great grandparents.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Chasm Fiend comes and like, oh man, what's up? And they say that, yeah. Then Gavilar's like, do you have any songs of the Knights Radiant? Dun dun dun. Um, yeah. So basically fun
And
stuff.
And at the end, Gavilar leaves her with crates of steel weapons and says he hopes to see them living in one of the cities on the at the edge.
Yep.
So he gave the natives weapons to kill other natives.
Yeah.
uh,
And as you do, he learned from Cortez.
yeah. Now we're here. So Gavilar knowingly armed Eshonai's family and tribe so they'd attack and overtake one of the ruined cities from other listeners.
Yeah. You should just be happy they didn't bring smallpox.
Right. I mean,
Mm,
Raboniel had already left that, so
true. Yeah. They're pretty inoculated from smallpox because Brunio killed
yeah.
everybody that wasn't. Um,
Everybody that's alive now was immune.
yeah.
So
All right. 49, Soul of Discovery. We got Navani and Kaladin. Um, so Navani is working with her scribes. She's doing the thing where she's still kind of like making them do busy work. She's like making them rearrange boxes and shit to like, you know, waste time. And then she's also kind of pausing and like thinking, but hitting like one of the veins where she can talk to the sibling, trying to figure out what to do about the thing. Yeah, we find out that there's three nodes, like the one Navani was at, and you need to stop them from being corrupted, and also you can't break them, or else it'll like shatter the shield. So not good. Um, for what happens later. Um, yes, and then we learn that the reason why she is like asleep or whatever is when they bounded
it was Baado, right?
yeah, Badu Mishram, it like hurt her and like the rest of the like Roshar itself and kind of did something to it.
Yeah, it
Um,
affected all Spren,
yeah,
and not just creating the slave form singers, but it hurt. So I wrote down it hurt the sibling. Honor couldn't help her because he was at that moment losing his mind, and then he died. And then the sibling, ended up losing the rhythm of her light, she says. And then Raboniel, when she corrupted her, attuned her to the rhythm of odium.
yep,
Navani, uh, not sure if you mentioned that. Navani is determined now to find a human to bond the sibling.
yes,
And the sibling is um, that the sibling is weary of that already. So,
yes.
um,
And that human's gonna be Navani.
you think so?
I think so.
Well, if we got Dalinar and Navani as bondsmiths, then we need to make them a throuple, and the third bondsmith needs to be in a relationship with the two of them.
Yeah, could work.
Gavilar comes back.
Yeah, yeah.
There
It's just
was
it's
go
just
ahead.
the one that makes the most sense because it would like it's not gonna be David, right? Because he's not an important enough character for it to be David. Um, maybe it's Verlaine. Um, but I think Verlaine's gonna get one of Vinley's spread. Um,
For Reacher.
a Reacher. Um,
Be
just
interesting.
yeah. So like, there's just not most important characters already have a spread. So like, it's not gonna be Adolin, obviously. Um, so it kind of has to be Navani, and they're like working together and stuff. So they're probably gonna like, fix their relationship or some shit, or like in order to like not be corrupted, she bonds Navani, and like they're able to break through the tower or something like that. It's just the only one that makes sense, unless it's like David, which he's a non-character, so it's not going to be him. If it was going to be him, he would be more important throughout this book, just going storyline wise. Yeah. Also, we learn that she learns that Kaladin's around, and also Lift is captured.
And
So
Lift
Rip,
is specifically inside of an aluminum cage.
yeah,
So there's some interaction of aluminum with between maybe the aluminum affects the Nile bond, the bond with the Spren, which would make sense, right?
yeah. But Kaladin was in the room covered with aluminum, and it didn't do anything.
But he had Syl close.
Yeah,
So
like if she was far away, like
yeah,
sever the bond.
if you put the aluminum between the human and the Spren, it like if you put aluminum between any Spren, it's going to affect the way they interact with each other.
Sure.
Right. So like the conjoined fabrials, they work by shielding between two to break that connection and then take it away from the other so that it opens up there. And now they move in that direction. And then you put it here and it can go this direction.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something with that.
Yeah. Something.
Um,
But yeah, poor Lift. Maybe Kaladin will break her out.
yeah, there's some more things that Sibling mentions. Let's see. One, the concept of the shield being a soul casted, it convinces the air to become glass. That was kind of interesting. Um, Sibling mentions that Lift was created by cultivation, to use light differently than others, and that's got to be why she's not unconscious.
Lift can't suck in Stormlight regular, right? She has to ingest it.
I I've only seen her eat food.
Yeah, I don't think she can actually do. So maybe she's doing like cultivation light or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a third type of light. It seems like there is a third type of light.
There's a light for every god.
Yeah. But we know that the Larkin can suck the investiture out of Lift as well, the same way as Stormlights. Um, let's see. The sibling thinks that Kaladin is of the fourth ideal, but she's like, but he doesn't have armor, so maybe he's just the third, but really close to the fourth. And thinks that the his closeness to the false surge of adhesion is likely is what is keeping him alive. And then she says something that confused me, and she said that Kaladin's powers, that his power is that of bonds, and that confused me.
Well, I mean, it's another word for oath, right? I mean, that's the same for everything. Um,
But also glue.
yeah. So like adhesion bonds. I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah, I guess you're just saying he can use a well, she. I think okay. His closeness to the surge of adhesion that keeps him conscious. His power is that of bonds. So it's just like his. If you want to know what adhesion means, it means it's the power of bonds. Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we get Navani. We're gonna get a little powwow. We get Kaladin. he's like he he's on the sixth floor. He's trying to find supplies basically. Um, Syl's doing her really cheating, like checking to see if people are there, and like he's running around. He uh he finds these lanterns that have gemstones in them, and he's able to like use his reverse flashing, which he has like not really used that much. Which basically magnetizes stuff. It's what he blocked the arrows with in book one. Shot them all to it, which seems really powerful. I don't know why he hasn't used it yet because it seems really good. Um, then he he goes to the a devotery and gets some supplies for theft. He runs across Argent and he's like swears into secrecy. Um, and then he gets a bunch of supplies, goes back to his hidey hole, and then he touches a vein and hears Navani. And yeah, it's kind of his little POV right now. He gets like bedpans and all that stuff for Teft because Teft is gonna be dead pretty soon.
I was really confused why he got hand brushes, uh,
Yes.
but that came up later.
Yeah.
But first reading, it's like, why do you need brushes? What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. That was interesting. It was kind of cool, what he did with it. Yeah, he's turning into Spider-Man. He was Iron Man, but now he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He could. Do you think Windrunners could actually be Spider-Man and like shoot out like a rope and hit something and then fly and then unhook it and then shoot out another rope? Be pretty cool. You could you
Sure.
could you could be Spider-Man.
You just can't make your hand stick.
No, but you have like a web shooter.
Yeah. You'd have just rope, but you just lasso like towards
Yeah,
stuff and make it stick.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
yeah.
totally that yes, that would work within the
Hey,
magic system.
so knowing Brandon Sanderson, especially what he did with that one dude that could make the traveling portals ridiculous in real time, he's gonna have a Windrunner that is really bad at flying, but is basically Spider-Man.
Yes.
Could you, since you can make well, I don't know if you can't infuse sprint. So no, that wouldn't work. I was like, you could have your sprint become a rope, like, and then infuse it and then fly away. It'd be pretty cool. I don't think that works. I don't think you can infuse sprint.
No, I don't think that would work. But I like that idea of a Spider-Man Windrunner.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, be cool. Yeah, because it's funny because I don't think any of them really that we've read have really used adhesion that much. It's all lashings.
Lopin does.
Yeah, like just for kind of giggles and jokes.
Yeah, Lopin's like the one that does the most
But
with
later when he's like literally being Spider-Man, he's like, I could make gloves and I'm using my boots. I'm like, you're literally Spider-Man, just
yeah.
climbing up the wall. But yeah, it's cool. Anyway, so
I
then we
was
get
gonna mention so something's been standing out to me in this section. And Brandon Sanderson keeps mentioning the languages that the singers are using that Kaladin is hearing. And I feel like it's some type of hint for us to know what's happening, to give us some hints of something big that's going to be a surprise on the battle. Like in this section, most of the ones he's hearing are speaking Azish.
yeah, because Kyle doesn't know ages.
Right. And so it's like I'm questioning like, does that mean that most of the Singer army fighting in a mule isn't in a mule anymore and has been sent to the tower? Um, and so like Odium moved most of his troops to the tower, and Odium and Dalinar isn't going to have as many troops to fight. Like he's going to show up at the battle like, where's everybody? This was supposed to be a big battle.
Yeah, I mean, it would be smart to, like you said, you could, like you told the Aegis people, like I can just make this entire platform go away and just have an army in your capital and just like wreck you in like 20 seconds. So it would be pretty war losing if that happened.
Yeah.
Especially because nobody knows that the Oath Gates are compromised. For some reason it hasn't happened yet. Maybe they're, gearing up for an offensive or something. Yeah, I didn't really catch that as like a foreshadowing thing. It was more that makes sense if they were have singers that could speak Aegis and an invasion of Aesir.
Yeah, and I mean later on, I mean there are times where some of the singers are speaking Alethi, and I don't know if it's just for us to know that they existed everywhere in the world, or if we're supposed to be like, okay, why are all of the ones that are from that place in the tower when they probably should have stayed there for the war?
Yeah, I kind of just took it as him just reemphasizing that the singers take the culture of their country. But it could be a foreshadowing for a crazy battle. And there hasn't been a big battle yet, so we know there's going to be one, maybe two, in the billion pages we have left to read. So yeah, that's a cool theory. See if it happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, Navani talks to Kaladin, and she's like, somehow they have spanneries that work. Figure that out. Also, check out the Oath Gates. Figure out how they're making them work. And we're gonna I don't know. We're gonna figure this out, Kaladin. And that's kind of it.
Also, be on the lookout for Lift because she's awake,
Yeah.
and look out for the other gems that the panels that connect to the sibling
Yeah.
because they need to be protected.
Hmm. They do. And they will be for a little bit until Kaladin gets killed by the pursuer.
Mhm.
Uh, well, he's gonna turn radiant, wake up all the other radiants, and it's gonna be pretty cool. Or else else is gonna happen. All right, 50 Queen. This is Dalinar Kholin chapter. Um, this is when we learn that uh, Yasna is a badass. But anyway, that's the chapter. Yasna is a badass. So they're
Yas Queen.
Yas Queen. Um,
That's
they're
that's what the title should have been, not just Queen.
Yas Queen.
Yas Queen.
Yeah, that'd been kind of funny. So Dalinar, you should petition Brandon Sanderson to change it. Dalinar's in the command tent. They're looking over the battle plans. They have defeated Taravangian's army, and Taravangian's in prison. Um, and then this is where he's getting more reports from Erethiru, and his scouts are like passing out and shit like that. If they get too near to it, what's her face was there. Dalinar, Kaladin's ex-girlfriend. But yeah,
Lynn.
yeah, Lynn. But yeah, this is where he kind of gets premonition that like this is not like something's up with Taravangian. It was like too easy to like be his plan. So he gets them to recheck out Irithyr. He's starting to figure it out because you know Taravangian. They wouldn't waste Taravangian's betrayal on just a really terrible attack on their flank. And then the mink is also there. He's still a ninja, but he's also a general, and he's Dalinar gonna like cede basically the command of this fight to him because he tested him out in the previous battle against Taravangian. He's like he's really good. Also, like I touched the Herald and saw a bunch of the past and stuff like that, and I might be part god. I should figure out my powers because they could be like war winning. Um, and they're trying to figure out a way to also um, put push Odium into an Accord of Champions. And he's like, this will probably help me do that, or else we're just gonna be like a stalemating fight back and forth, which won't really do anything.
And he wasn't able to replicate what he did to Nail with Ash or Talonat.
Yeah, so we know that they're here.
Yeah, we know that they're with him. What they're doing, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah,
I don't know what they've been doing the entire series, but
nothing. They might be the only characters more sad than Kaladin. They have thousands of years of being sad. Or Kaladin only has like 15 years of being sad.
I have not finished the first season of Rings of Power, but their existence just reminds me of the giant naked dude that came down and just following with the short people.
Yes, totally not Gandalf.
Totally not Gandalf.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention it was a cool thing in the nail fight is that they had like parked escape like shuttles in Shadesmar underneath their platform that they could like flee because you could
Oh
open it.
yeah.
That was cool. I just remember that.
And Dalinar was actually about to escape them,
Yeah.
and Stormfather stopped him and said, "No, touch him."
Yeah.
So it's
So
like,
I thought that was cool. They're starting to use some like because they could really start doing that. Positioning troops in Shadesmar, and you could like open portals and like everybody could jump out and stuff. So yeah, we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. But that was a cool little
yeah, with Dalinar, it's easy to come in and out of Shadesmar.
yeah.
Yasna can go into Shadesmar, but she has a more difficult time coming out.
Yeah, because she can't just open a hole in reality.
Yeah.
But yeah. So while they're doing all this, we hear that Yasna basically wants to make the Alethi into basically a democracy, or like maybe what Britain has with still a king and a queen, but a parliament. And Dalinar's very much a monarchist. He's like, "What? No, that would suck." She's like,
That would slow everything down from making, you know, decisions.
"Yeah." I love how she's like, "Dalinar, the kingdom didn't last. My father died. Like it's not gonna last another like 10 years after I die." It's just kind of funny. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. She starts her first major foothold in this by really screwing over what's his face? Ruthar. So she is like purposefully asking the mink questions and like doing all sorts of military doctrine. Dalinar does note that she's like kind of good at it, but she has an academics view of it, so she doesn't really know much. But she's still kind of keeping up with it. And then Wit's there, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Who I now just see as John Delaney, so it's making me like him way more. Um,
Yay!
yeah,
Got you to like Wit.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see if he ever gets a POV if he still annoys me. But yeah, Ruthar is really pissed off that she's doing masculine stuff. And he starts like insulting her, almost calls her a godless whore, but gets cut off. And then she's like, Wit, destroy this man's pride. And Wit like
Mhm.
destroys his pride. And then he's like, How dare you, sir? I will duel you. And then he's like, Well, and then Dalinar's like, Don't do this, you'll if you kill a Wit, you'll get exiled or whatever. And then Wit accepts, but chooses a champion, and it's Yasna, and Yasna sticks him through the throat. He's like, I'm not gonna fight a woman, and she like stabs him through the throat, and she's like, Renarin, heal this man. And he heals her, and he's like, You are exiled. You also suck. Your family hates you. You beat your sons. Peace out. And it's pretty awesome. She also goes, Yeah, that's pretty like bad policy. So here's a law saying that we can't trial by sword anymore, which was funny.
Yeah, she just pulled it out. Dude,
It was so cool. Yasna's the best.
yeah. And then at the end, sorry, because I was going to talk about
Yeah,
more stuff, but
you're
it was
good.
almost at the end, so I'll just go the last few things that happened.
Yeah,
Renarin comes up and tells Dalinar that he's at another episode and wants to talk with him about it. Um, and uh, not related to that, Dalinar wonders if he can trick Odium, just like Yasna and Wit tricked Ruthar. He says he needs to talk with them, but not today. Um, so yeah, the insults from Wit were fucking hilarious.
yeah,
The last one was if you spend your life knocking people. So this was not the insult that got him to challenge him, but uh, it was after he was healed and they put his son on in his spot, et cetera, took his land away. Said if you spend your life knocking people down, you eventually find they won't stand up for you. There's poetry in that, don't you think? You storming personification of a cancerous anal discharge.
yeah. As he got more harsher, his wittiness faded. I'll also say this reminds me a lot of an anime when like they have a lot of like nice jovial people in anime, and then like they suddenly become like deathly serious and like they're the scariest person in the room. That's what Wit did. It was really pretty cool.
Yeah, and he drew the sword. So I want to talk about his sword because
Yeah, it's something crazy.
I didn't write down, I didn't copy down the quote of it.
Let's see if I can find it.
But I think it's another awakened blade, kind of like Nightblood, but it has never tasted any blood until now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
in while you're looking up that, in addition to Ruthar berating Yasna for being too masculine, he also uh, kind of insulted Dalinar for being feminine, uh, because he can read and write and everything and all these excuses. So, um, and I think Yasna and Wit may have, or I think it was probably Wit's idea, but he convinced Yasna to go along with it in front of Dalinar, this whole situation,
yeah.
as a way for Dalinar to think like he did at the end of like, hey, maybe I can do something similar to this to Odium. So,
Um,
doo, doo, doo.
Can't find like it was like a little slender sword, silver sword. I can't really find a. I can't
Yeah,
find
but
where.
you mentioned something about it, not.
Yeah, not willing. Okay, so Yasmin held with sword out to her side. He took it, clicking his tongue, not willing to wipe the blood off first brightness. I suppose this is the sword's first kill. Adonosium knows I can never give her that myself. Still, um, yeah. So
So
he,
another mention of him not being able to deal out violence.
yeah, he just called it a her, so it could be an awakening.
Yeah, I mean, most people will attribute pronouns to
True, it doesn't.
objects.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, very cool. I love that the mink is just loving it. He's like, "This is awesome, stupid Alethi."
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, yeah, it's good stuff. Yasna's the coolest. Um, she might be OP, but this is an anime, so you need OP characters.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we can move on unless you got anything else.
Nope, that's it.
Chapter 51, To Sing Hopeless Songs. This is another flash. Oh no, not flashback. Just has Vinley in it. Um,
Finley.
yep. So Vinley is with uh Raboniel. They're talking about how they know that Navani's stalling. Um, but they're like, that's kind of cute. So they're like, they're still doing the little dance of um, yeah, um, yeah. So they're still doing that. Um, she meets with her group of people. They're squirreling away supplies because they want to leave. Um, they also are. This might not be there yet. Never mind. Yeah. So yeah, and then they talk about like maybe joining the humans, maybe not. They're like, no, they're not. We're not gonna do that. And then they she learns that one of her people are like trying to recruit people, and she like isolates them or whatever.
Yeah, Schumann.
Yeah,
Schumann was trying to recruit, but telling too much about a plan to rebel against the Fused.
yeah,
And she's like, dull, isolate her immediately. Like, we don't need all that shit.
yeah. Um, yeah. She puts some of her people watching the unconscious radiance to maybe get a chance. We learn later, basically, she has control of them, so that works. Yeah, and then she's like, she's like basically, I'm not a good person to Timber, and then we get a flashback chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
One thing, so Raboniel, one thing that was interesting is Raboniel asked Vinley why she still serves Odium, knowing that he killed the rest of the listeners. And like Timber at that point was getting worried. And of course, Vinley comes back with something real quick and sensible and says she sees it as basically as Odium picking out the strongest. So she's like, "Well, I was the strongest, and he wants the strongest to. So it doesn't matter. I'm a survivor. Everybody else was weak."
Yeah, we also forgot to say, we learned that basically after our initial round of fuse, nobody else has been made immortal at the time. So like,
So no more
'cause-
fused.
yeah, no, there's no new fused
Gotcha.
because she's like, you kind of want to be ambitious and maybe become immortal, but it's not really happened. But maybe it will, but not to Vinley, who is going to be a nice read. So then we can move on to 52, Path Towards Saving. 8.5 years ago, flashback. We get just Finley. Um, uh, Finley is with her mom. This is her Alzheimer's is progressing. She's starting to forget stuff. Finley is getting more and more like not jealous, but annoyed with her sister for not basically, noticing and basically pushing all the responsibilities of their family onto her, while her sister just gallivants around with the humans and all this other stuff. The humans haven't come back yet, but they're coming back. Um, so yeah, she this is more of her kind of jealousy about Eshonai. Because Eshonai wants to go to cities and explore everything.
Yeah, they do now live in one of the ancient cities. They attacked the family that lived there. and took it over.
Yeah. So now we have the humans are there. They're visiting again. Um, she is really annoyed because she's having to repeat all the songs to them, and like they don't have the rhythms and all that shit. So she's like really annoyed. Um, and then she kind of like walks out into like the plains, and then she's visited by that lady, Axon Duet or whatever. And then she's like, "Don't you wish you could be better and stronger and cooler and be serve odium again?" And blah 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 blah. And then she gives her a gemstone and tells it to break her in the storm, and you'll get forms of power, some forms of power, even heal. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
He also is speaking perfect Parshindi or whatever language Vinley has,
Yeah,
although without a rhythm,
yeah,
which is odd. But yeah, that's where she gets the blood red gem.
yeah.
And she just takes it. She's like, oh, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. But
So who? Yeah, you kind of mentioned a little bit of some theories about who this lady is. What do you who do you think she is?
oh, who she is,
Axon Dwith.
I have no clue. I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
I have a couple people in mind of who
Or like race or whatever or culture.
oh
Do you think she's off world?
I think she's off world.
Yeah.
I think she is from I think she's from Scadrial for some reason.
She doesn't have the complexions of a Paris, right? Because she looks a Lethe, right? Or I don't know. I guess Finley wouldn't really know.
Yeah, they do give her a description, but the thing that stands out the most about her description is the rings,
Yeah.
because like she just has
And
rings all over her hands. So it's either soul casters
yeah.
or it's like metal mines
And that dude that had the red pigeon
had rings,
had rings.
and
So
so that they were taken off.
yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe like a sect of Terishmen that worship odium or something.
maybe.
Yeah.
I'll write that down just to say we had it. Accent wet and dead guy with bird. Scent of terrace. Yeah.
She definitely wants odium back. She's
Oh
like,
yeah, she
hint,
is
hint, hint, hint,
definitely an agent of odium.
do this. Yeah, and like I don't think she's like a like an evil wit. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if there are evil wits. I'm
I don't
like
think she's
Gar.
on the same level as Wit.
I don't think so either. Um, and like we've met most of the heralds. I don't think any of them would be. They don't seem to be like in that. So yeah, there's some sort of other faction, which is interesting. Anything?
I was just looking at the name, and you could almost have Tyndall.
Yeah, I mean she's dead, but man,
Yeah, but okay.
yeah, I mean maybe that'd be kind of funny. I don't know how she would be alive considering she got super murked. Spoilers, sorry. Uh,
Forget the name you heard.
yeah,
Somebody died.
somebody died.
But yeah,
Yeah, we can move on. That'll be fun to see. Do you think anyone we've met present day is her? I don't think so.
And not
Like
think
maybe God,
10.
no, the Ardent that went in Edge Dancer. Like I don't think so, but I'm just trying to think of like women that are like there, but not really doing. Maybe it's she's May Aladar. I'll bring her back.
um, no, it wouldn't be May Aladar because Prince Aladar would no.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe what's her face? That Ardent lady who's kind of important in Edge Dancer. Not Edge Dancer. Dawn Shard.
oh,
Yeah,
Rushu?
yeah, Rushu. Like
Hmm.
I don't think so. I'm just trying to think if we've seen her, who would it be?
Hmm. I don't know. But we also so we got to figure out who she is. We have to
Yeah,
figure out what um what Light Weaver broke their oaths and created that new Deadeye
yeah,
friend that was a merchant
yeah. We need to
or
find
is
out.
a merchant now.
Yeah,
Um, hmm, mysteries.
mysteries.
Well, let's move on to compassion.
Yeah.
Chapter
No. Speaking of one last thing, I'm thinking of old mysteries or new mysteries. You know who I really thought was going to come back?
May Allen.
Mayadar, but the assassin lady that Yasna put close to the queen, who was like
Yeah.
a cool lady that was like killing people with a shard blade and brain, and she was like the Widowmaker or some I forget the cool name, who was like contracted to kill the queen but never would, and like never came back up again. So maybe she will come up again sometime.
Maybe she got killed in that time frame.
Maybe, but she was like so cool. It's really weird. She never came back up again. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I really thought she was going to be in book 3 when they went to the capital and had the queen. Um, but never mind. She didn't. She didn't appear. She's probably dead. Um, so 53 compassion. This is a Vinley chapter. She is let's see. She's doing stuff. Yeah, she's listening to reports. She is tending the other the radiance. They find out that Kaladin is awake. And she's like, "What? I'm gonna have to tell Leshwi because Leshwi likes Kaladin." And guess what? The pursuer is gonna like murk his family, and that's not cool because I'm a radiant. I'm a good guy now. Um, and then she goes up to Leshwi, and she's like, "Leshwi, uh, Kaladin is here," and Leshwi's like, "Hell yeah!" And he's awake. She's like, "Hell yeah, he's really cool. We're gonna get together." Also, she's like, "I guess I'll save his family because I'm also a good guy." And but also, don't tell anybody else that you like humans, or you're gonna get killed. That's kind of it.
The section of Leshwi leaving to get Kaladin's family was so short.
Yeah,
There's like 2 paragraphs, and she's like, "All right, I'm back.
yeah,
Let's continue our conversation." I was like, "Okay."
yeah.
Um,
Unless she's
can't
like,
believe
yeah, I would say unless she's like technically over the pursuer, so she can do it. She's also like hide him away because yeah, the pursuer's crazy. But yeah.
And Timber is really happy
Mhm.
with Vinley over this. Uh, oh, we got mention of relay form, and I figure it's just like messengers.
So
So
what I yeah, so what I thought is that is how they're using spam reads. They had like a spam read form. But that's not it. But that's what I thought when I heard relay form. I was like, oh, that's how they're relaying information. They have like actual like people that just do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
I kind of thought that too, but then I was like, well, that doesn't quite make sense. But they
yeah,
kept mentioning it's like, oh, these people in relay form, they're reading stuff to us. Oh, okay, they're scribes and messengers, like
yeah.
because
Um,
you can't use the same words, you can't use the same language. But well, I mean, it makes sense. It's from her POV, right? So
yeah,
it would be relay form because
yeah,
they've only been in contact with humans for 10 years, um, so
yeah.
or 9 years.
Um, it does seem like Leshwi is interested in Syl a little bit because Vinley does ask her about Kaladin, and she says it is rare to find a human who can fight in the skies well enough to be a challenge for me. She said, and his spren, I hear she is ancient, but never mind that. So maybe she wants Syl for some reason too. Leshwi's interesting. I need more of her.
Yeah, but also I think it's like, just ancients recognizing ancients, right?
True. Yeah, it could just be that.
So I feel like Leshwi, it'd be interesting. I just thought of this. So Syl had a Knights Radiant before, right? And so those Spren knew things before, and she's remembering a whole lot. So maybe Leshwi knew was it Relador? Maybe Leshwi fought Relador a whole lot because
I don't think Syl fought against singers. I think she was after the whatchamacallit?
after the Desolations,
After the Anahatium or Harim, whatever the fuck it's called.
a Harriatum,
Yeah.
Harriatum,
Yeah, I don't think she's like 4,000 years old.
a Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman.
It'd be interesting though.
Yeah, it
There
would
was
be,
some ancient connection between them.
but I feel like she's like in between everybody. She was like a young one after the Harrietium. So and then they his her guy died for somehow. So she like missed all the older Spren died, and then all the new ones now are born. Like Pattern and stuff are way younger than her. So she's like in the middle of the generations. That's how it feels.
Okay.
But who knows? So 40, 55, oh, 54,
54.
Jesus Christ. The future become dust. Dalinar and
Renarin.
Renarin. This is POVs. We get some Dalinar with Gavinor. It's really a weird name. Um, uh, Gavinor is a very traumatized kid. He's like, my father died. Was he brave? And he's like, no. I mean, yes. And he's like, was my mom was evil and killed him? He's like, no. I mean, kind of, but you're too young. So, no, she was possessed by evil spirits, which is also true, but not really. Uh, um, yeah. And he's like, all right, go away. I can only handle this much truth for a day when I'm explaining it to a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. I
5, I
guess.
think.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I do like that uh Dalinar made a little home for Ruthar because he's like, I'm not gonna have a High Lord beg on the streets because I need to keep up Alethi propriety and stuff like that. So yeah, he does
Well,
that.
speaking of that, didn't Yasna say that Ruthar was welcomed to the beggars feast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we forgot to mention she stripped his titles of everything. He's basically has nothing.
Yeah, and
Uh,
gave it all to his son.
yeah, and his son was like, "Cool, my dad sucks." Um,
And
yeah,
his son, Relis, was actually, we find out right now, he's taking over for Ruthar. Uh, we know him because Adolin previously dueled him and one.
Yeah. And he wasn't Aelin's friend that betrayed him, right? No.
No,
No.
that was oh my God, what was that guy's name?
I
No,
mean,
Relis.
he's never come up again, so it doesn't matter.
Relis was so they want
Is he the
root
guy that touched the shard blade and like freaked out and ran away? Kaladin like caught the shard blade and like screamed at him.
this guy Relis.
He was in the fight. One of them ran away in the fight, in the White Spines fight.
Yeah, Relis was not in there.
Oh, I thought he fought in the fight. Maybe I'm just totally misremembering. Let's see.
Keep going. Let's see here. That was in Words of Radiance.
That was in book 2. Uh,
So Relis, okay, Elit is Relis's cousin. So Elit was the one that ended up fighting in place of Relis at first because Relis was like, "No, I'm not going to fight you." Um, then later on, Relis show so Adolin dueled Elit. Then Relis shows up, demands retribution for
yeah, because he's like
yeah, and so
he's the dueling champion. Yeah,
yeah, he is the one that Adolin challenged and said, I'll wager 6 shards to 1 against Relis. And he declines, and then he says, Relis, you can bring anybody to a fight.
yeah,
So yeah, he was in that duel.
that's cool.
And Abrabadar was the name of R- Adolin's friend.
You don't
Or
know
no,
about
Yakimov.
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 Yeah, Yakimov. Um,
Yakimov and Abrabadar. I wonder what Yakimov's doing these days.
Probably really sad that he betrayed Adolin. Like, man, I could have been like BFFs with like the people in charge. Maybe got a sprint. Maybe it's a radiant. Anyway, Dalinar goes to the Windrunners. They have kept the tradition of the stew. When they see him approaching as like a sign of like it, acceptance for the tradition, and they give him a bowl of stew, and he
He doesn't. He doesn't accept their tradition.
yeah, he's like, this is kind of dumb, but they do it anyway, so I have to accept it basically. Um, so Renarn's like, hey, I know you're here to talk about my vision. Um, so he kind of like walks him in there. And he's like, he's worried. Renarn's worried that he doesn't think it's true, but it could be true that it could be Odium sending these visions to like purposely mess up stuff. So whatever he says is not reliable information. And but yeah, he does this really cool like stained glass reconstruction of the thing, which is pretty cool.
That only he can see.
Yeah, that one he can see. Um, and it shows a downer and shard plate pierced by an arrow facing away from Odium. Um, he thinks that it means Odium will delay indefinitely and never agree to an actual contest of champions. Makes sense. And he also somehow Renar knows or is put together that what Taravangian knows, where like he's able to block Odium's vision because like it's like tinged in black or whatever, which is like that's me. Um, and then he's like, "Hey, Dad, Bliss wants to like we need and like Shah we need to make more of me, and like which makes sense because then you can spread the influence blocking future sight of Odium, which would be really powerful, um, which would be cool." And he's then I was like maybe, and he's like, "I have a good match for somebody," um, and I don't really know uh who that would be. Who do you think?
I wrote down Gavinar, David, or Relaine.
I don't think it'd
Um,
be Gavin or actually so young.
yeah, that I don't think
That'd be kind of cool though.
it'll be necessarily be Gavinar,
He could be like
but
he could be like Shallan and be like, "What's up?" I had a shard blade when I was like 5.
yeah, I'm trying to think of people close
To Renarin.
to Renarin and Dalinar, right? And there's not
Uh,
that many. Relaine makes sense because Relaine
doesn't have a sprint.
doesn't have a sprint, and he and Renarin have bonded before on being different than the other Bridge Four.
Yeah,
So it makes sense, but then Relaine is not
here.
with
Yeah,
Dalinar, and neither is Dabbit.
yeah.
So
Maybe,
Gavinar,
maybe Cord, because he knows Rock and
but she promise not to bond to Spren?
oh yeah, maybe in Dawnshard.
She she promised not to become a Radiant, right?
I know Risen did. Maybe. Where is Risen? I guess she's in the water somewhere. Um, yeah, I can't
Risen's got
remember.
to be on a boat.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, it really makes sense. I'm trying to think of who else. Taravangian. Let's go.
There you go.
Actually, kind of. I mean, if Taravangian was like walked up, and was like, "Hey, Downer, I really need to talk to you with Renarin." All right. So yes, I did betray all of y'all, but now I realize that he's fallible, and it's because of Renarin. And Renarin's like, "Here, take this power too, so he can't see your future all the time." Taravangian's like, "Cool." Like, boom. So maybe Taravangian. I doubt Renarin would recommend that to Dalinar, but yeah, the thing is, which is weird, is like we have like Spren that need to be bonded, but like we don't have a lot of like important characters that don't have Spren.
Yeah.
It's like Relaine, who's like semi-important. We have Navani, we have Adolin. Adolin has a sword, so he's not going to do anything. Um, So like other than that,
Got David.
we have David, but he's also not really a character. Um, like Brock has a Spren. Like all of Bridge Four has Sprens. Like yeah, like basically everybody has a Spren. So it kind of has to be Lane.
Yeah. I mean, David, I feel has to have one too.
Sure.
Has to get one at some point.
He's either gonna get the sibling or maybe this.
Yeah.
I don't think he's important enough to get the sibling. Oh yeah, interesting stuff. Um,
Before we move on, though,
yeah,
um, all right. So, um, spoilers for Mistborn, book one. So if you don't want to be spoiled, Mistborn, skip ahead a few minutes. But all right, one, two, three. So Renarin and Odium's battle of um changing futures reminds me of Burning Gold. Or not gold, Adium. Burning Adium. Um and
yeah,
so they keep changing, like they see something but then they change, and so it changes and changes and changes. In the description, this is what I see interferes with Odium's ability because I can see possibilities of the future. My knowledge changes what I will do. Therefore, his ability to see my future is obscured. Anyone close to me is difficult for him to read. So, like,
yeah, and so okay. I just yeah, that's So, which Sha-Na is corrupting them, and she's from Odium, and we know that Adium was the body of Ruin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, adium is the metal of ruin. Because
So,
AT or AT is the name, the vessel that had held ruin.
yeah,
And then Leraise was the body, the vessel that held preservation.
yeah. So it's shot. The reason why he can see the future is because Sha-Na is giving him powers of Odium, which is like kind of like Adium's body. So yeah, that makes sense. It might be the same like magic transference things. Yeah,
I like
pretty
it.
pretty cool. Um, I wonder if Gavinor is gonna be a main character post time skip. I could see that.
I could see you.
Yeah, unless he wants to. At least, well, I guess we don't know what how long it will be. Anyway, we move on to chapter
I think it's like
55.
a 10-year time jump, they said.
Oh, that's it. Okay, think of longer than that. 55 kinship with the open sky. Um, so this is Kaladin, obviously. He's like feeding Taft and stuff. He's trying to figure out uh you know he needs to like go do the Oath Gate, see how it's doing it. Uh, he talks with Syl about her old Radiant, because she is being bonded to Kaladin so long and made her depressed. Not really, but she's becoming more human basically, and becoming more human makes you depressed. Uh, but yeah. Oh, then Dabbit comes in. I forgot this hasn't happened yet. He's like, "What's up? How did you find me?" He has like broth for theft, stuff like that. Because Dabbit gets led by the sibling.
Sibling.
Yeah. Um.
I I really, in a funny way, it's like Kaladin tried to tell Syl, it's like, just don't think about people dying and everything. And she's like, does that really work? And it's like, well, yeah, but also, and she's like, well, what about these feelings? It's like, well, yeah, you got to remember these people. It's like, oh, okay, so forgetting it, not thinking about it is not good advice. He says, oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. She doesn't seem as depressed as Calvin, which is good. But yeah, then so Kaladin is needs to figure out the Oath Gates. Um, he realizes that they would only start working at night because they're trying to continue the subterfuge in case any you know radiants are watching. Um, so he becomes Spider-Man. He uses the brushes that he previously got that we were confused about him getting. He starts basically climbing down the wall of Urithiru very, very slowly. Um, seems like a good workout, but luckily he lifted bridges for like a year. You
And
should,
he's infused with Stormlight now,
yeah,
so
true. Maybe you should incorporate this into your workouts,
yeah,
infusing, yeah, just, I guess rock climbing.
rock climbing.
Um, yeah. Uh, so then he stops. He hears some scouts basically on a ledge, and he's like, "I'm a little too slow to have made it to the Oath Gate this today." And he's like, "Wait a second. How are they? How are the scouts communicate? Because the scouts are looking for radiance." And he's like, "How are they communicating? They must have working span reads. I'm gonna go steal some span reads." And then he's gonna go do that.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit like suspenseful
Yeah.
him climbing down is like, oh my God, he's gonna be seen. No, he crosses the side. Okay, okay, I'll keep going. Oh wait, no. Now they're packing their things up. Oh no. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
having realizing the span reads, um, they've got span reads that run on void light and are working is it's cool.
I guess Kaladin is really good at calculating how much stormlight he has. So I'm like, yeah, you don't really know how long it's gonna take you to get, and you're gonna have to get back up. I was like, you might run out of stormlight. That'd be really bad, or just fall off the side of it right there. But luckily that doesn't happen.
That would suck.
Yeah.
He would
Um.
he would learn how to he would learn how to fly real quick
Yes, he would.
again.
Let's see. I'm trying. Sorry, I'm looking for some. Um,
What you looking up?
sorry, I was just looking at Emperor real fast. But we're good. Yeah. So 56 nodes. Um, this is a
Nodes mating.
nodes mating. This is a Vinley chapter. So she is successfully gotten put in charge of all the unconscious radiants. She notes that all the windrunners are the closest to like waking up. Some even like talk in their sleep. So maybe Kaladin has influenced that, or they're all close to the fourth idea, which would be crazy. Um, uh, they're starting to
I think it has to deal with the adhesion.
adhesion. Yeah, it makes sense. Um, because radiants and stuff are starting to stuff for like bed sores and stuff. She's like, all right, well, I know a surgeon, and he needs to be hidden, so we're gonna get Laren in here. Oh, also, we forgot to say, Leshui said to circulate that she killed his parents, so like the pursuer wouldn't look for them.
Yeah, I missed that, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can go back and look at it, but I'm pretty sure. Because I remember that because I was like, "Ooh, Kaladin's gonna get really mad when he hears that his parents are dead. His parents aren't dead." Um, yeah, we can check that out at the end of the podcast, see if I'm right or if I made that up in my mind. But yeah, she's talking with her other dude and their duel, and they're trying to like figure out um figure out if this is a wise thing to like maybe recruit some radiants and stuff like that, and help them out and stuff like that. She also realizes that because she talks with some the deepest ones because they're trying to figure out the nodes, and she realizes that she can practice her powers freely because the screamers, since the entire thing's a fabrial, they're pointless. Um, she then kind of accidentally uh, gives them a hint that one of the nodes is probably outside because it's going to get perpetually renewed by stormlight, and that's just super efficient. And we're lazy and also like efficiency. So oops, yeah,
yeah. Um, yeah, so back to the reason why she can practice is so like the deepest ones were saying that the secret spren are useless, and those are the screamers. We
yeah,
know them as the screamers. The whole tower is a they're useless because the whole tower is a fabrile, and they just get confused. So, but also we learn that chaos spren are the ones that are like they were the watchers that could see things, and you wouldn't be able to see them, but now they appear as sparks in the air. They leave sparks in the air everywhere they go. So anybody will know they're being watched.
Yeah.
Um, so that lets Vinley know that, oh, I can tell when one's around or not, so I can choose when to practice. Um, yeah, and then at the end, Mazish, who's Dole's wife, comes in and tells Vinley that they have found another listener.
Yeah. So I found it. This is Leshwie talking to Vinley. Find a place where you can watch them and send me a note. I will consider if there is a way to use them to find Stormblast, and for now, we'll spread a rumor that I have disposed of them. Even if the pursuer finds the truth, though, they should remain safe for the time being. So, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, more Vinley. Maybe. I want to see Vinley's powers. I don't
I want to see her
know.
powers too. If she's a will shaper, I want to see these powers
I wonder if she can like fuse Stormlight and White Light and like do crazy shit. Be cool
together.
together in like a yin and yang, and zap out and blow something up, or I don't know. Yeah, we can move on. 57, Child of Odium.
So are
Uh,
we? We're. I didn't mention it, but we're in. We know, and they're thinking the same person, right? Of the other listener they found.
oh, yeah, that's Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's gonna be really cool to see Finley and Elaine meet. Um, 'Cause I assume they know each other. At least a little,
Probably.
at least a little bit. And then,
Maybe.
you know, um, I wonder if, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Child of Odium. This is another flashback chapter. Eshonai and Vinley. Um, so Eshonai the humans are fixing to leave, and she's sad because she likes the humans. They're fascinating to her. She wants to join with them to go to their cities, and she wants to experience basically everything. She ends up running to Dalinar, and she she has trouble with Alethi language, but she's able to converse with them. And basically Dalinar is like, "Hey, I can tell you're super naive. My brother and I are kind of bastards. We will take advantage and mess you up. So just be careful." And she's like, "Okay." Um, uh, which is interesting that he would seem to disparage his brother a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
I guess he just knows his true nature. Like, hey. But yeah, cool exchange with that. Uh, she also learns the extent of like the human population, and she's like, "That no, that's not true." And she's like, "Yeah, there's a lot of us." She's like, "Oh, all right. Like you burn cities and just have hundreds more? What the hell?" Um, yeah. So that was a really cool interaction. Um, and we got we go to Vinley. It's the high storm's not happening. She's debating whether or not to go out into the break the rock, get a new form. She's very afraid, but she perseveres and goes in the storm. She meets the Stormfather, and Stormfather's kind of like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Kind of what he asked her or Eshonai when she takes storm form for the first time. It's a nice little parallel there. She, wants more forms and all this other stuff, so she breaks it, of course. Um, then we go back to Eshonai, and she's worried about her sister. Yeah.
With Stormfather, it's interesting here. He's like, when he asked her if she's sure she wants to do that, she she tells him, it's like, well, you serve the ones who destroyed my people. And then he points out that she's about to use something given to her by one of said people. And then he's like, all right, bye, you dumb, you dumb bitch.
Yeah,
Um,
can't really blame Vinley though.
and then she breaks it, and the Sprin comes out, who's Ulam, right?
I think so.
And I just think
Do we
of
know what Spren that is?
no, I don't know yet, but I don't think we've got a description of him necessarily. But
Yeah,
you know the you saw Wreck-It Ralph,
long time ago.
the villain that's like the candy guy. He's just all
Yeah,
weird. I just picture him coming out like that, and she's like, "Yes, we need to get the storm there."
yeah.
Um,
I do like how he asked about Shadesmar. She's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh,
yeah, but he mentions there's a newer storm in the south, and says it's where he entered that gemstone. And then he's like, "You have no idea what I'm talking about." Delightful, right? Then get ready. We've got a lot of work to do. Um,
do we know what
Maybe
the
he's an
newer?"
ink spren,
Maybe
which
like
would be
corrupted one because he's red.
yeah, maybe corrupted, but it sounds more, I mean, it's kind of sounds like ivory.
Kind of. Oh
So
yeah, we
maybe
got.
he's a corrupted ink spren.
Hmm. Also, important to note.
Also, who put him in the gemstone? Well, obviously, he
Obviously,
seemed to want to
Vinley.
go into the gemstone.
Yeah, because this was an instrument of unlocking everything. Um, yeah. Oh, also important to note, uh, she accepts him into her gem heart, but does not actually physically change anything because they still need to like coerce more people to do stuff. So that's kind of interesting that she can do that. Um, but anyway, Vin, Yeshana is worried about her. There's some funny banter about her taking Finley taking mate form and stuff like that. And then she pops up and she's like, "I was trying for war form, but I didn't get it. Wink, wink." And then, yeah, it's kind of
Big, big thing
oh yeah, yeah, the big thing. Yes, you can go with the big thing, and I almost forgot to do.
is that when she talked to Eshonai was like, "Where did your rhythms go?" And she Vinley struggles to bring them back, but she does eventually find them. So, um,
So whatever that
huh?
means, whatever that means, it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know, but it's huge.
Could it mean that that Sprin isn't from Roshar? I mean, there could be Sprin in other places. I mean, there's no Sprin in any of the worlds we know, but
Yeah, not that we know of, but I mean, Sprint
because
exists. Sprint exists in the cognitive realm, and the cognitive realm exists everywhere the physical realm does.
yeah,
So,
because if there was if he was a Sprin from another world, she wouldn't have the rhythms of Roshar, but right?
right, I would assume so.
So maybe he's an alien Sprin.
I was kind of thinking that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
that's cool. I don't know what that means, but that's cool. Um,
I have a thought connected to Era 2 of Mistborn, but you haven't read it, so I'm not gonna
yeah,
go over.
I will read it eventually. I got a lot of books to read right now.
Yeah,
including this one, which is really good. 58 span reads. This is a Kaladin stealth chapter. Um, Kaladin Metal Gears his way through the tower, following the people of the span reads. He finds that there's a span read network. Um, he then he then makes Syl disguise herself as a voice friend and order the guards away. He jumps into the vents. He uses the brush tied to a rope to magnetize a satchel of span reeds that I thought were way bigger than they actually are. Because I was blown away when he opened the sack and there was 20 span reeds there. I was like, what? I was very confused about that. I don't know if you were too.
I pictured them as like quill-sized pens.
I thought they were like an apparatus.
No, the span reed itself is just like a pen, and they're set up over a
It
piece of
needs to, it
paper.
needs to be set up. It seemed to be decently big, where you couldn't have 20 of them in a little like satchel. I don't know. I was very confused. I think I just didn't realize what they looked like or whatever. Because when he opened up the satchel, it's like, oh yeah, there's 20 spam reads in there. I was like, wait, what? I had to like reread that like 3 times. It was so I was so confused. Um, and then he's running. He's escaping with his prize of 20 span reads. Um, and then there's another like glowing icon on the wall in the video game level. He clicks it, and the sibling's like, "Hey, they found one of my nodes. You gotta help me." And Kaladin's like, "All right, guess I gotta help you,
Yeah.
and I need to find a bigger stick."
Um, whenever he was in the whenever he ducked off into the laundry room though, and he used the this is the only other thing that I have that you skipped over. Um, but I think is worth noting just for Kaladin's mental sake. He used a broomstick behind the door, like he uh stuck the broomstick on either side of the door on the wall to kind of lock it, to prevent the singers from coming in to do the laundry. But the rattling of the door sent him back to the days whenever Gaz ran the bridge crew. So
Yeah, he is having PTSD because he was fixing to murk like 3 people.
yeah, so hey,
Yeah, we did it.
we did it. So um, yeah. So if you made it through this, I hope you're enjoying it. Justin and I think we're enjoying it. We're fine, pretty much found a stride through getting through these large books and in an enjoyable fashion for us. So um, if you made it this far, go ahead, click likes, follow, subscribe, share, leave a review and rating if you want. Um, you can visit our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers, at mudcatwhiskers.com. And next week, we will be finishing up part 3, including the interludes right after it. I think there are, how many interludes are there?
3 or 4.
Let's see here. We have 3 interludes. The interludes have Seth, Cheery Cheery, and the sword.
We'll get some
Is that you think it's Maya or you think it's Nightblood?
probably Maya actually.
I think you're right. I think it's probably Maya.
I mean, I just looked at the first word of the chapter and it's not that, but
Oh, why
we
would
should,
you do that?
I don't know. I was reading, I was looking at the icon. I was like, oh, okay.
Should I do it or should I leave it as a surprise, Justin?
No, whatever you want to do.
I will leave it as a surprise.
I'll say I wish it was Milo or Nightwood, but it's not.
Oh, so it's neither.
Yes, neither.
Okay.
Sorry, I spoiled your here's some that for you.
Oh, it's Oathbringer. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a brand.
Uh, all right. So, yep. We will see y'all back next week. Bye.
Bye.